Hi everyone, Tam's here. It's time for another Tea Chat Tuesday, and as you can tell by my mug, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, Game of Thrones. And I'm going to somehow relate this to stationery. So let's recap the week really quickly. It was a busy week for me, and I hope I can film this video. This is a little late in the day, but we're having a horrible rainstorm here in Florida, and my power has flickered off a couple of times. So let's see if I can get through this. And I apologize for any uh, ad lib because I'm not that prepared after trying to do this a couple of times and having to deal with power flickering in and out. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so it was a busy week for me. Full moon in Capricorn. I know that's probably not a big deal for most of you, but I am a Capricorn, so it was a big deal for me, and I'll spare you the details, but it was a lot of fun. And also, I have shared that I am doing the Artist Way 12-week course. I did complete all of my morning pages, and I went on my first artist date ever, and I have shared that in a video, so that was very interesting for me. I actually really like it. So we'll see if I can continue on. I'm in my second week and it's a lot of fun. So on to the goodies. We're going to talk about Game of Thrones and stationery. So hopefully there's not that many people talking about this on YouTube, and maybe I have a new mashup of things. But this weekend is the season 7 premiere of Game of Thrones. And also each month I try to do a little bit of a theme with some of my letter writing, and so my envelopes will take on, well, and my letters as well, they will take on a Game of Thrones theme. So I thought I'd share some fun things with you that I have that you might be interested in, you may not be, who knows. But anyway, we'll give it a shot. First of all, let's talk about actually writing the letters. So I think if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I have the Monte Grappa Game of Thrones fountain pen. Ooh, I'm very excited. I will be writing my letters with this. And I have inked that up with the Robert Oster Fire and Ice ink. Yay! I got this from Goulet Pens. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but they're a great place to get ink, so why not? But this is very beautiful. It's a blue ink with a red sheen to it, so it's very pretty. Another thing I have been playing with is dip pens and dip ink, and I actually found on Etsy from a little shop called Fox and Quills. I found this really cool Iron Throne Iron Gall ink. Now, those of you that might be Jane Austen fans like I am, you probably know what Iron Gall ink is, but there's a wonderful little story that goes along with this ink. And what I'll do is I will link the shop below in the description about this ink, but you may recognize some of the characters that are mentioned. It's very Game of Thrones related. I have attempted already to write a complete letter just with a dip pen, and it's very hard and very time consuming. So what I'm planning to do with some of my pen pals is I'm planning to use the dip ink to maybe write a quote on a really pretty piece of decorative altered paper and slip that in as a pen pal goodie this month. So this is a lot of fun, very interesting. If you're into, well, my background's chemical engineering, so I find this very fascinating. But if you're into something like the old ways of alchemy or something like that, you may find this uh, very compelling. What you can do to make your own iron gall ink. I think that what this little Fox and Quills has done is quite something. So that's a lot of fun. The other thing I have for my wax seals, I've shared this before, but I have a Targaryen, and you cannot see that very well because of the glare, but I have a Targaryen wax seal and I have a House Stark wax seal, and those will be used for my letters as well. These are not official Game of Thrones products, but you can find things like this on Amazon all day, every day, and they also have some of the other houses that are featured in Game of Thrones if you have a house that you prefer. But I think this is a lot of fun to add to my letters. And I like to add the wax seal to the paper I'm writing on, like sometimes at the bottom, just for fun, because sometimes if you put it on the outside of the envelope and your letter happens to be a little thick, it can get jammed up in the postal equipment. And I've done an entire video on wax seals if you're interested, but I think that's a lot of fun. And then, of course, I'm going to be using rubber stamps, and I thought about getting a dragon rubber stamp, but I just could not find one that I really liked. But I had this fleur-de-lis, very simple wax seal. I got this at Michael's like 2 years ago for $1, I think. And I think that'll be a lot of fun to incorporate into my mail art. And later this week, I hope to show you guys my mail art for July and how I'm putting all this together, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. And then, of course, I've had this forever, my Game of Thrones teacup. It's getting so late tonight, I'm actually having chamomile tea so that I can relax a little bit and get this video edited and up, because I have promised to do a video every Tuesday, and this one seems a little bit thrown together, but that's okay. The effort is worth something, I hope. And I hope there's some of you out there that are as excited about Game of Thrones as I am, and you can hopefully see that you can have a little bit of fun in your crafting with some Game of Thrones embellishments and such. And my find to share with you this week, just watching Game of Thrones is a find enough, but for those of you that are familiar with the Monte Grappa Game of Thrones fountain pen, you know that it is not an inexpensive pen. This is a very nice higher end fountain pen, and you are paying for the Game of Thrones licensing as well. So you really got to be a true Game of Thrones fan and a fountain pen fan to truly appreciate this, and I love it, and I think it's wonderful. But if you're looking for a different alternative, I have another dragon pen. In fact, I am collecting dragon fountain pens. And this is a Jinhao fountain pen. It's beautiful. It's about $10. And it's a converter pen. Let me show you. So there you go. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Writes beautifully. It's about $10. You can find it on Amazon. I'll link it below. But it's actually one of my favorite dragon pens, and I carry it with me everywhere. It writes well. I like the way it feels in my hands. So if you are looking for a fun, inexpensive, but nice dragon fountain pen, here's one for you. I love this. I love this thing. And they have, if you're not really into dragons, they have other blue and white. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know I love blue and white. But yeah, this is not bad at all for a fountain pen. And that's all I have this week. And I hope that you will be enjoying Game of Thrones this weekend. Some of you may not be as big a geeks as I am, but I'm looking forward to it. I get a lot from Game of Thrones. I think it's one of the most creative TV shows that's been produced in a long time. I love the writing, I love the sets, I love the props, and I love what they've done with those dragons. So I cannot wait to see how big they are this season, and I cannot wait to see who's actually going to ride the dragons this season. So anyway, that's all for now. I will see you next week. Bye.